し。もう、やっちゃうんだぞ。やっちゃうんだぞ。やっちゃうんだぞ。オロさんいらっしゃいです。ふぬさん、元ふぬふ様。いらっしゃい。ゆっくりしてってな。今日は、初めてやるゲームです。初見って書いてなかったそういえば。まあ、いっか。初見プレイになります。で、以前に、キツネさんのゲームをしていたんですけど、それの、続編じゃないけどなんか、似たような感じのゲーム、ナシロにいただいたので、遊ばせていただきます。うさぎさんいらっしゃい。かもふー。じゃあね、せっかくゲームの音流れてるので切り替えますね。のどかな音楽。さとしさんこんばんは。いらっしゃいですよ。はい、新しいゲームやっていきます。前回のゲームもそうだったんだけど、前回のうさぎじゃない前回のキツネさんのゲームもそうだったんだけど、あれなんですよ。ヒントがないゲームなので。果たして、平和にクリアできるか。やっていきましょう。いきなり音声出ると思います。よいしょ。何ね、次これやるよっていう時にね、ちょっと流したから。導入部分を。
Hi, my name is David Whaley, and I'm the creator of the First Tree.
何言ったか全然わかんないね。
I also voice a character named Joseph. So I just wanted to introduce you to this commentary mode,
何言ってか全然わか
tell
り
you
ま
that
せ
you
ん。
can
はい。
find interesting things about how I made this game
英
by
語
touching the
そんな
speech
流暢
bubbles
に
you
喋
see
ら
in
れ
the
ても
world.
わからん。
So I hope you enjoy it.
エンジョイ。楽しみます。はい。それだけわかった。わかんないね。
Are you awake? I thought I heard you get up.
誰が喋ってるん
Yeah,
だ
I'm awake.
誰と
Sorry,
喋って
I
るんだ
just can't sleep.
走
Are
る
you
がシフ
thinking
ト。
about him?
Yeah, a bit. Usually get back to
今
sleep,
む
my
ずい
love.
ね。
I'm fine.
この男の人と女の人は何なんだ
What else is on your mind?
これは回想の声なの
It
か、
seems weird, but I had one of the most
これを
vivid dreams
見
of
届
my
けた
life.
人間の声なのか、
I saw a fox on a snowy mountain, just looking
多
confused
分
and worried.
これ操作してるこのキツネ。
I can't get those eyes out of my head.
え
She
こ
was
の声
running
は
in the
何
windy snow, looking for something.
何なんです
Do you
か
think it has to do with you and what's been going on?
I don't know. It was just a dream, Rachel. They're not meant to make sense. A lot's happened the past couple days, that's all.
Well, if you're not going to sleep anyway, you should tell me. I want to hear.
All right.
これ以上いけない。わかったよって私が全然わかんない。本当に何のヒントもない。地図もない。何にもないよ。くそ。どこに行くのよ。ルルさんこんばんは。あそこから出て、まあ、日本語喋らんかい。一応字幕は出てるけど、こっから出て、こっち行くしかないな、そしたらな。あの柱みたいなやつ目指すんかな。主催いらっしゃい。これなんか、丸太があるよ。なにこれ ?2 回飛べと。飛べた。へえ。ちょっと高めのとこも飛べるんだね。ひばちさんこんばんは。こっちの もう前回の経験があるからね、目的地じゃないところもね、行った方がいい、これは。本当に。目的地っぽくないとこにも、ここ目的地？こっち目的地？じゃああっち行く？嘘でしょ？でもあっちもなんか、ポイントがあるんだよね。な何がある？どっち行こうか。どっちか行ったらなんか進んじゃいそうだね。まあでもあっちが奥で、こっちが手前で行き止まりっぽいからこっちから行くか。近い方から。ね。なかなか。セーブとかできるのかな？続きからプレイ始めるみたいなのがあったから、できそうな感じだけど、どうやってやるのかはわかんない。全然関係ないとこ行ってみよう。なんかあるかもしれんから。こっち行けないんでしょ？どうせ。行けない。なんか、違った。なんかロボットがいるのかと思った、このまんまへ。違った。草だった、草。なんこれ。テントが潰れてるよ。なんこれ。
I'll try not to spoil too much since a lot of this game ties into the very last act, which is the epilogue, I call it. But you'll notice there's lots of items around. That's kind of what the first tree is about. Is like exploring this land and trying to figure out why they're there, what they were used for, and it's kind of explained that this is a dream for Joseph. But it's something different, and it's not supposed to be like your average dream. It's supposed to be something a little deeper. So pay attention to all the items that are around and try to figure out how they tie into the story.
見に来ました。いらっしゃいです。
I'll try not to spoil too much since a lot of this game ties into the very last act, which is the epilogue, I call it. But you'll notice there's lots of items around, and that's kind of what the first tree is about, is like exploring this land and trying to figure out why they're there, what they were used for, and it's kind of explained that this is a dream for Joseph. But it's something different, and it's not supposed to be like your average dream. It's supposed to be something a little deeper. So pay attention to all the items that are around and try to figure out how they tie into the story.
なんとか、ザ・ファーストツリー。はじめの木。はじめの木っていうゲーム。私はペンですと言ってますな。マジでI am a pen って言ってんの？本当に？本当ですか？ここに行かなきゃいけない。本当に？本当に何言ってるかわかんないから。今カラスがいっぱいいた！
So it's usually at this point where people say something like, this is not the kind of game I was expecting. And that happened a lot at PAX West when I showed it. We'd have little kids play it. But then they see a dead fox cub. Or kit is technically the word, but cub sounds, I don't know, it sounds better. Like Wes Anderson uses it in Fantastic Mr. Fox, so I thought cub would be alright. But anyway, having this game, I wanted it to be more serious. This game is based on dealing with the death of my father, which was the hardest thing that's ever happened to me and my family. But I don't want to talk about it here. And I didn't want to talk about it with anybody really to this day still. It's very personal. And that's why I made this game. That's exactly the reason. Because I wanted to get those feelings out and like communicate with people without like
おー
talking
カラ
about
スいっ
it.
ぱいいる。
And so
お
that's
生ま
what
れ
the
カラ
first
ス
tree
め。
is. It's me dealing with my
カラスめっ
feelings.
ちゃ飛んでるやん。
And it was a
めっちゃ
personal
飛んでるよ
project.
上。
And it was just me, and it actually, like, I'm really glad I made it, but it wasn't easy to make, I guess is what I'm saying.
カラスの影が見える。
So not far from her home, she followed that path
何いき
to
なり字
something
幕さっき
unexpected.
もだけど。彼女はってこれメスなのもしかして。えいや、置いてけないよ。置いてけないよ。どうするの？クリックし、右クリも左クリもなんもないな。ジャンプでしょ？シルでしょ？歩くでしょ？なんもないよ。なんかないの？行きたくない。話す。でも、進むしかないのかな？寂しい。寂しいよ。
She couldn't stay though. She had
と
to
どま
find
る
her
こと
other
でき
two
なかったっ
children.
て、他の2匹の子供たちも探さなきゃならなかったからって。
She followed it towards something ancient.
他の2匹を探すの？お母さんギツネなんだね。あ、この声は物語を読んでる人の声なんだ。何いきなり何始まった The First Tree! イエーイ！雨降り出したよ。雨降り出した。死んじゃう。
Fox looked high and low, searching for
高いところ
any
低い
sign
と
of
ころ
her
子供た
cubs.
ちの足跡を求めていろん
Points
な
of
とこ
light
ろを
showed
捜
the
索
way
し
to
た。
this ancient
うんう
tree.
んうん。
It was
光の
as if
点
each
が現
one
れ
had
る。
a story to tell, all their own. The land was trying to
本
tell
当
my
だ、光
story
の点
too.
がある。
I felt like I was right behind her the whole time.
子供たちをこれで探すの？字幕付け入れたんですね。これなんか勝手にだよ。そう、最初の木。いっぱいなんか柱があるけど。これをなぞっていけばいいってことなのかな？あっちにもある。あっちから行こうか。ね。幻想的なゲームね。光あるよ。力だな。確実に。遠くない？大丈夫だった。遠くはなかった。上に伸びてただけだった。これは
I feel like one of the best ways to make an
何言ってかわかんないからさ。
exploration game feel worth it, or to reward the player, is to have as many secrets as
何
possible.
これ？
Like some of my favorite games, like Dear Esther and
なん
Gone
かいっぱい
Home
散
and
乱してるもの
Firewatch.
が。
I love those story-driven games, and they're kind of like these mystery boxes where if you put in a lot of effort, if you look closely, the world reveals itself to you better. So there are like secrets in the first tree. See if you can find one of these hidden items by digging around in these unmarked spots around this area.
ね、ついてる時とついてない時があるからさっぱりだよ。全部つけてほしい。こっち行ってからあっち戻ろうか。これ端っこなんだよね、きっとね。お、なんかいなかったね。これなんかでっかいよ。
As a kid, did you ever do show and tell in your class?
Yeah, I think I only did it once, when I was in the 4th grade. You
Oh,
know
nani?
how my life was around then.
何
I wanted to show my class what helped pass the time
何
and
もで
distract
きないよ。
So I brought a dozen paper cranes I had made. I think I told everyone how badly I wanted to be a
何も
bird
で
and
きないよ。
fly, embarrassingly enough.
Don't be embarrassed. Every kid wants to fly. For me, it was another toy from my dad, a wooden
何
boat.
もできません。
I remember guarding it so carefully in my hands as I walked into class.
何
When
も
I
で
sat
きません。
down, a group of boys immediately made fun of it.
あ
They asked which
明
trash
日
can I
はホー
found
ム
it
ラン
in,
だと言
or
って
why
お
an
りま
ugly
すな。
log was my favorite toy. When I got up, I didn't even want to tell them
何
my
だ
dad
っ
had
た
caught.
何もできん。
I said it was a joke gift my friends had given me.
アクションできないよ。
Some of them are. I
な
shouldn't
ん
have
か
let
加
them
え
get
た
to
り
me,
とか穴掘
but
った
it
り
did.
とかしたい
It's
けど。
amazing we bounced back at all.
あ、本当に？でも何言ってるかわからない。聞きやすい。知ってる。天気雨？雨降ってんだよね、これ音。降ってる降ってる。でも空は晴れてる。不思議。不思議です。
The bunnies were added because my wife,
なんかいる。
Elise, who also voices Rachel
バ
in
ニー
the
がい
game,
る、バニーが。
who's
バ
also
ニー
helped
が
a
いる。
ton to make the game. As we were playing, she
Bunny-
just said it. The
bunny
world
を
felt
決める。
kind of empty and not alive enough. So I
Bunny
knew
を
we
決める。
needed to add some kind of life, and so the bunnies was like the first idea that came to mind. And like most of the game, I used like publicly available assets to speed up production because I was working full time along with making this
Bunny
game.
ずっとね、
We
逃
just
げる
had our
よ。
first baby, a little girl named Evelyn. So we added. I was messing with this asset called Herd Sim, and at one point,
追いつけません。
the generation
バニー早い。
that creates
追いつけません。
variations of the sizes of the bunny. One time I got out of control and it made like this monster bunny
全
that
然
towered over
全然追
everybody.
いつけないこ
And I
れ。
shared that GIF on Imager and Reddit, and that was a huge hit. It helped
これ
definitely gain an
なあ
audience for this game. But it's hard because this game is like so
いつまでや
serious
る
about
の？
life and death, not giant bunnies. But I knew I needed something like a shout out to that because it was pretty fun. So if you're able
こ
to
れ合っ
catch
てるの？間違
all
って
the
るの
bunnies
これ。
on this map, I think there's
ね、
around
ちょっと
13. Then you'll get a special surprise. So good luck.
なんなんわボール落ちてった。どういうこと？拾ったりできないよ。どうするの？バニーとペンの追いかけっこ中。地面は雪で、空からは雨、そして太陽が出てる。季節はいつじゃ。ほんとね。ほんとね。こんばんは、ハロー。いらっしゃい、ウェルカム。一人行くか。綺麗ね。いつきさんいらっしゃいだよ。ニンニン。ここでもニンニン。とりあえずここの光を撮ってみて。
Usually those kids would leave me alone,
でも
but somehow they could tell
ホ
I
リ
was
ホリし
different.
たけど撮れないんだ
They
よ
made fun
ね
of。how far away I lived. They called my
全く
dad
来
a
ないんだ。
sourdough. I was a blabbermouth as a kid, telling my dad stories I made up for hours. But after that show and tell,
パソコンゲ
I
ーム
didn't
だ
tell
よ
much。anymore.
スチームのゲー
He
ム。
didn't know exactly what was wrong, but his best guess was that the toys he carved weren't cool enough. carved me a tank and tried to tell me what it was like to be in a real tank as a serviceman.
I didn't know your dad was in the military.
Yeah, in the army.
あ、本
The
当？
sad thing is that I
パソ
pretty
コン
much
ゲームだ
forgot
から
him
綺
till
麗なん
just
じゃない
now.
の？
There's so much I still don't know
あれ？
about him.
I'm sorry. He
あ、
knows how
上に
much you
光っ
love
てるや
him.
つがある。あれ取り
You're
に行
going
か
to
ない
see
と。
him again soon and have some closure. I'm sure.
お父さんどこ行ったんだろう。
A lot of people have gotten confused why
Alaska.
Joseph's father is called
ア
a
ラス
sourdough.
カ。
And it's not stated outright at the beginning of the
そっか。
game, but Joseph and his dad, they grew up in Alaska.
あの上に行き
And
た
I
い
don't
ね。
really have a real connection to Alaska except
ここに
through
行けるか
friends who
な。
lived there. And it was also the place that me and my dad were going to go right before he passed away. But I love the idea of Alaska being like this beautiful solitary place.
こっち
But
で。
anyway, what that has to do with sourdough is it's an Alaskan slang term about like someone who lives in the backwoods, like a redneck in Alaska. So I thought that was just to put some authenticity into the game. I added that word.
ここから行くよ。ここから行きます。地下で行きます。いけるいける。はいはいはいはい。いけるいける。母さんマグロマグロ漁船に行っちゃったの？そうなの？ねえ取れないんだもんな。あとはあの上にも行っといてみた方がいいかな。なんかあるかもしれない？いけないかこれ。この上に、あ、いけなさそう。戦車があるよ、戦車。ミリアちゃんこんばんは。戦車はね、なんで戦車？なんで戦車なん？不思議。音うるさくない？大丈夫？私の耳にはね、うるさい。うるへーってなってる。音楽盛り上がんなーってなってる。耳落ち着いてるからね、そう。洗車するために置いてんじゃねって。こっち行くしかないか。途中でキラキラ光るやつ見つけたら教えて。とりあえずこの上か。兵士は戦車の中で昼寝してるだけだから。キツネのコーンかわいい。なにキツネのコーンって何？キツネのコーン。コーン。こっちも後でいっか。とりあえずこっち見て。そうなの？コンって名前なの？そうなの？変でもないけどな。変でもないけどな。
did for a living?
Wasn't he like a lumberjack?
That's one way of putting it. If wood was a
おも
canvas,
ちゃ。
then a carving knife was his
な
paintbrush.
んだろう、どういった
Even after working a 50-hour week, even
でも
after
人
his
間がい
hands
たっ
were
ぽいよ
splinters
ね、
and
ここに
skin,
ね。
he would bring
だっ
home
て
the
人間
nicest
のおもちゃがいっ
piece
ぱい
of
落ちて
glass
るんだも
candy
ん
you'd
ね。
see and make me toys. That wooden train was the first toy I can remember, and I loved it.
10
I
時
just
間
knew from a
木
young
彫り。
age I was going to be a lumberjack, like my father.
お父さん木彫り。あっちにもまだ光あったもんな。どっちが道か本当にわからん。とりあえずこっち、道っていうか光あったから行かないと。あ、見つけた。キラキラ見て。よいしょ。これもなんかでっかい車。なんだろう、ここもう人間の世界じゃないのかな。人は滅亡した世界かな。くるくるしてる。
I feel like one of the main reasons people play small indie games is because they are so personal and
雨宿りできる。
intimate. So I tried to put myself into this game as much as
雨宿りできる。
possible. So almost all the vignettes or little stories you hear in this game, they come from my childhood,
しないけど。
where I grew up in the middle of nowhere in
何
Central
を着てる
Virginia
の？
in the United States. So yeah, that's probably why I love games like this so much, where you explore this open, wide
キツネ見たら
environment
ゴンギツネ
and
思
just
い出
find
した。
interesting things, because that's exactly what I did as a kid.
人類滅亡してそうよ。さっきあっち行けばいいだけかな。なんもないかな。なんもないですか。絶対ここだってキャンプ場みたいになってる。キャンプ場じゃないか。なんだろう、なんかなってる。あ、なにこれ、これ。あ、さっきのボールこんなとこに？んで？なんもないな。あっち行くしかないな。ヒャッハーと救世主って何？ヒャッハーって何？あ、バスがあるよ。バス。スクールバスって書いてある。怖いね、こんなん。スクールバスの上は？なんもないね。もないね。なんでこのキツネは2段ジャンプができるんだ？取り残しないかな。
The older I got, the more I
なんだそれ
withdrew.
は。
I asked myself, why talk to anybody anyway? Why bother when I'm happy by myself?
ポテトチップ
I
スで
started
思い出
drawing
し
a
た。
lot, mostly
昨日
animals
の
I saw
夜
in the
配
woods
信で
by my
話して
home.
た、
I
プ
then
リン
imagined
グルス
designing
を
my
買って
own
きた。
hideouts with things like TVs and pantries full of
あ
chips
と
and
で
cookies.
17ライブで食べ
I
よ
think that idea of leaving home and drawing blueprints started my career. I found a lot of solace in that.
I'm not surprised, but I did the same thing, you know? There's something special about having a place to call your own.
なんかあんまり
And now look at us. Well, if you count renting in an
あ、
overpriced
今
city.
日のお昼今日のお昼話してたや
It's as close
つ
as
か
we can get
お菓子
for now.
何が好きって話してたんだった、そういえばそうだった。
I thought it was important to say that yes, I actually did draw this with crayons. And it was just funny to me one day that I was like, I'm working on my game. And I pulled out my little 1-year-old's like crayon set to draw this
あ
item
れを
for
取
this
っと
game.
くか
I
先に
just realized just
上にあるや
now
つ
that I probably threw away the original. I probably should have kept it and given it away to somebody, but oh well.
まあとりあえずあれでしょ、このお母さんの子供を探すのでしょ。落ちたー、大丈夫だったすごい落ちたよ。なんかバグったんじゃないかと思うくらい落ちたよ。これ何これ光ってたけど、これさっきのとこじゃないの？違うとこ？
I feel like one of the main reasons
さっきの
people
とこだ
play
よ。
small indie games is because they are so personal
探
and
してるのはド
intimate.
ラゴンボール
So
や
I tried
で
to put myself into this game as much as possible. So almost all the vignettes or little stories you hear in this game, they come from my childhood, where I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Central Virginia in the United States.
羊が
So
い
yeah,
た。
that's probably why I love games like this so much, where you explore this open, wide environment and just find interesting things, because that's exactly what I
な
did
んか
as
入
a
れそう
kid.
な気がするけど、気のせいかな。行くなら上からだな。めんどいめんどいめんどい。あっち側から行かなきゃいけないんだ。また上がんなきゃいけないんだ。これいけないかな、この。あら。なんか変な形してる。登れないじゃん。登れないじゃん。あ、なんかある。あ、これも。段ボール。テレビみたいな形してる。もしかしたら3年前に埋めた骨、どこに埋めたか忘れた。骨。よいしょ。上から行こう。ブンブンブンブンブンブン。これはさっき話したもんな。これ見つけたんだもんね。ただここじゃない。結局ここに来るんだ。車があって、めっちゃ光ってる。お、アメリカの国旗だ。登った意味よ。登った意味よ。ここにないね、なんもな。キルキル集めよう。びっくりする。ローディング中。 急だね。ね、急すぎる。めちゃめちゃ急すぎる。どうして？何があったの？ね、何があったの？何？急だよ。めっちゃ急。さっきんとこあれでよかったのかな？それすらわからない。
My teenage years were full of sketching, angst, and trouble. I wasn't popular or unpopular. Maybe just forgettable.
本？
I guess that gave me a sense of freedom.
本だね。
So I hung out with crazy kids,
蝶がいっ
doing
ぱいいる。
crazy
何こ
things,
れ？蝶
even
々
though I
が。
mostly just watched
蝶
the
々だら
chaos
け。
ensue.
なんどういうこ
We
と？
did it all. Put fireworks in mailboxes, hide roadkill in people's garages, break windows of the barber shop in Anchorage.
花
My
火。
dad was furious, but he was so busy working he couldn't do much to stop me from going out.
I think being an adult
なんか
means
喋って
there's
る
no
からちょ
one
っ
to
と待っ
stop
て
you
みる
making
けど。
hard decisions. He had to make a living, and he couldn't be in two places at once.
Yeah, I realize that
荒
now.
かず。
But at the time,
荒
I'm
かずじゃ
sure
な
he
い。
was more
アラス
interested
カ
in
でし
growing
ょ？
his business than what was going
あ、
on
ア
with
ラ
me.
スカって書いてあった。私が見間違えた。
This is the level that I showed at PAX West, which was a crazy
はい、
dream
何言っ
come
てる
true
かわ
that
かり
this
ませ
hobby
ん。
project was being shown next to all these amazing indie games. So I decided to show this level because it's smaller, there's like some jumping puzzles, and I thought it was a good
Jumping
entry into the game.
puzzles.
But the one thing I can't seem to forget is right before we open to the public, there's an indie dev superstar. Like, you've definitely heard of his games. And I was like terrified. He wanted to try it out. So I said, of course, like, please give me your feedback. And he was super
なんだろう
nice,
な。
super talented, of course. But this embarrassing bug happened, which I'd never seen before in my life,
どこで行くの？
where when he dug the item up, he jumped right after, and it created the dust cloud to permanently be on the rest of the level. It wouldn't turn off. So it looked like this fart cloud following the fox as it just kept running with this beautiful music and serious voiceover. And it was horrible. I think about that every time I look at this level. But, you know, I was able to fix it, so I'm glad someone could at least find that bug.
そっち行っちゃっていいの？こっち道違うと思うけど。こっち目指す方もしかして。ちょっときつすぎちゃった？ちょっと戻ろうか。うん、ここ行き止まりっぽいね。はいはいはい。
I always wanted this game to be very meditative and relaxing, but I know there's a balance between keeping the player's interest.
なんだこの
So
光
I
は。
added this butterfly jumping mechanic just to like spice things
なんだ
up.
これ。
I used a plugin called Playmaker for Unity, which
先に
in a
こっち
visual
の
editor
その
lets
キ
you
ラキ
do
ラを撮ろう
interactive
か。
things, which is perfect for me because I do come from a film and design
Really?
background. But on the flip side, I really wish I was
Really?
good at code because this jumping mechanic, the jumping mechanic in the whole game actually has frustrated a lot of
取
players.
れないよ。
But hopefully I've been able to fine tune it, so it should feel a lot better now. I would just hate that this meditative game would get frustrating, so I've definitely I've lowered the gravity, I've made the jumps more consistent, so hopefully people can just focus on the
あ、
world
パト
and
カ
the
ーがあ
story.
る。なんで？また蝶がいっぱい。
He was working another late night, and my
No.
friends were over, saying how
No.
bored they were and how they'd come all the way out to my house for
No.
nothing. One of them mentioned how that
なん
old,
でこんな
ugly
とこに
beyond belief
机がある
truck
の？
was still in the
タ
garage,
バコもある。
and how we should take it for a spin. I was only 15, so I kind of fought it for a while.
お、
The next
あ、こ
thing
れ
I
犯
knew,
人。
we were careening
え、
around the mountain
どういうこ
path, rocks spitting
と？
onto
こ
the
こ、
sides
刑
of
務
the
所だ、
cliff,
警
while my
察署だっ
dad's
たの？
cringeworthy bluegrass blared out the speakers.
これ
I
じ
drove
事
while
情
my friends were
聴
in the
取
back
と
of
か
that yellow and purple
わかんない
truck,
けど、なんか
throwing
受け
beer
ること？
bottles and trash at anything
どういうこと？
remotely interesting.
ねえねえね
Felt
え
like
ね
I was soaring
え、
in
この
the
木
air
穴が
with borrowed
気
wings.
のせいです。
But all good things have endings.
穴が
A cop
全部開
outside
い
of
てると
Eagle
思った
River
ら
pulled us
違
over
った。
after he saw us send a bottle rocket into someone's yard. What followed was a long night of talking to disappointed adults and feeling smaller than ever.
なにこれ？お、なにこれ？なにこれ？なにこれ？なに？なに？は？え？あ？なに？え？どういうこと？どういうこと？どういうこと？連れて行く？なにこれ？どういうこと？ね、ジャンプすると消えちゃう。いや、こっから見たらね、こっからはわかんないけど、なんか仕掛けがあるように見えたの。なかった。仕掛けなんてなかった。置いてきちゃった？もう消えちゃった。なんなの？不思議。こう正解な？セーブとかどうなってんの？ないの？あるの？あ、びっくりした。びっくりした。ここにちょうど見えたね。キラキラがあった。見えおった。キラキラ。来ちゃうじゃん。なんかすごいことになってる。あっちがゴールかな。とりあえず、さっきの教えてくれた感じか。こんな仕掛けがありますよって。特に何もないよね。なぎだん、おちつ、残業終わった。お疲れ様だよ。キラキラってよかった、こっち来て。でもなんかね、生活してた風。ここで、助けを求めたのかな？ロケット花火がこんなところにある。ケルーさんいらっしゃいだよー。
After he drove me home from the police station, I blew
そう
up
そう、
at
そんな
him,
感じな
saying
の
how
か
I
なって
never
思うけ
wanted
ど、
to
なん
be
かちょっ
like
と、
him, how I was gonna be someone
英
who
語いっ
believed
ぱい
that
でよ
hick
くわ
ice
かん
pops
ない。
look good. He just looked forward at the road with tired
と
eyes.
りあえずこのキツネさん
Took
はお
out
母
that
さんで、
bluegrass tape from the cassette
子
deck
供が
and
なんか
chucked it out
3
the
匹いる
window.
みたいで、1
In
匹
my
亡くなって
sage
るのを
teenage
発見し
wisdom,
た。 だからあと2匹探してるところ。
But my dad had a different idea. He slammed the brakes, slowly bowed his head while gripping the steering wheel, and finally looked at me. All he said, like it was a polite request,
乗り込んだ。
was,
壊れてるから
"Make
な。
this
乗り
right."
込めないな。
I sat there in silence, fuming, but I eventually got out and combed every square inch of the woods, muttering profanity after
泣い
profanity.
ておる。
I found it 30 minutes later
親
near a
切
small
設定。
waterfall off the road.
一
I
応
went back to the
柱にな
truck,
っ
put the
て
wet
ここ
tape
が
back in.
ヒントですよみたいな感じで
We didn't speak another word to each other the
し
rest
て
of the
はある
night.
けど、
Wow, I knew you were a crazy teenager.
でも
It's hard to believe, isn't it? Surprises
英
me
語が
too.
ね何を言ってるのかさっぱり
I
わか
didn't
んない
really
から
know
そ
who
こ
that
がちょっ
kid
と
was
ね
back then.
やだ
But
こ
my
の
dad
音
thought the same thing over and over.
やだこの音私
It's almost like he was saying,
気持ち悪い。
make this right to himself, more than to me.
ドドドドドドって音。いけないんですがいけないんですがねえねえいけないんですが気持ち悪い。あっちどうやって行くのかな。こっち側から登れなかったから反対側からかな。こっちからも行けそうにないよ。ちょっとどういうこと？ここが一番低いかも。ここが一番低い。ここ低そう。うん。いやー、いけないだ。飛べない。いけないな。いけないよ。なんでことだ。なんでことだ。なんでな。あ、これな。これを取ってこっから飛ぶのね。うん。あそこどうやって行くの？あそこちょっと後にしとくか。これ取って滝怖いな。滝最後にしようかな。
You may have noticed there's a little pond here.
そう、何を言
And
ってる
believe it
か
or
わからな
not,
いから
I tried everything I could to get swimming working in this game, and I just could
Swimming?
not do it,
本当に
unfortunately. And so all the water in this
Swimming できる
game
んですか？
you can just stand in, which is it still like bums me out.
このキラキ
The
ラを
systems were not
2
working. It
つ
was
2つ
buggy.
もらえないかね。
So I just had to throw it out.
そしたら
Which,
高く飛
you
べ
know,
るとか
I
ない
think
の
it's
かね。
okay. Like I wish it was there, but again, the focus of this game is on the
あ、ダ
story.
メだ。落ちた。みつきさんおかえりなさい。詰まりつつあるけど。 取って2つつけられないかな。お、つけられた。これでいけるかもしれない。これででっかいジャンプができるかもしれない。トシャさんこんばんはだよ。いらっしゃい。画質いい？こっち側がここがいけそうかな。いけそう？ほっ、いけたいけたいけたいけた。やったー、やったね。
My biggest hope for the players that are playing is that they realize how similar these two parallel stories are, of this fox looking for her missing cubs and also of this son reconnecting with his father. And so I try to add little touches in the voiceover and in the environment to help draw those parallels, even if they seem totally dissimilar.
さっきのはなんか突然なんかこういう風に
It's purple and yellow like the
蝶が
butterflies
なん
for
か
this
こうビヨーンって
fox.
なってるのが
So
く
I
っつ
tried
い
to
て、
add as many touches like that throughout the story as possible.
これが一回使い切りじゃないか、元に戻るから、ちょっとジャンプ力良くなりますよみたいな。バーバーショップだ。美容室か、美容室。街だったんだね、ここやっぱり。ね、さっきのところが警察署で。街だ、ここ。これもしかしてもう、3つ取れってどうやって2つは取れたから、この前にじゃあ上の方で取っとかないといけないんだ。わかったわかった。戻る。今日もかわいい、大好き、愛してる。ありがとう。ありがとうだよ。あ、そうか、ここにもあるんだった。ここ先に取ってからだね。こうジャンプしないと登れないから多分。あ、いける？いけないよね。お、ところにあった。これ取ってのあれ取れるのかな、ジャンプしないで。嘘でしょ。いや、無理。どうしたらいい？待って。ここは絶対ジャンプしないと取れないから、ここ先に取る。だってジャンプしないといけないから。あ、ちょっと待って、いける？いけるんかと思ったじゃん。いけないじゃん。ダメだ、ジャンプしないといけない。待って。どこあそこの岩いけないでしょ。これ取って取れるでしょ。あと1個。この前のとこにあったのっていけた。そういうことか。こっち側から登るのか。こっちだ。はい。 ことなん？
My friends would laugh about that
急
night
に。
and talk about how crazy it was. And I laughed along, pretending it didn't bother me. But it did. I imagined my friends growing old in the bush, unable to find that thrill in those godforsaken ice fields. It's like those mountains were a literal wall, keeping me from leaving, where all I would have to look forward to are lumber yards and evening
眩しい
beers.
光。ね。
I had to climb over. That was my only goal for a long time.
ここ。来ました。で、下にもあった。眩しい。
If there was some way I could take my love of drawing and turn it into a way of escape,
これは
nothing would make me
デ
happier.
ッサン？
I wanted to create instead of tearing trees down.
モンスタ
I
ーを
wanted to
作り
move
出
to
し
the
た。
lower 48,
アラスカ
not
が
because I hated it there in
アラスカだね、
Alaska,
本当に。
but I hated the idea of it. It's like all of that spite inside me had
あっ
created
ち
this
登って
monster
いけるんじ
that
ゃない
followed
の
me
なんか
around my whole teenage years. I put so much energy
芸
into
術
doing
的
what
で
others
幻
didn't
想的な
expect
ゲーム
of
で
me.
すね。そう。
Why did I do that?
英語でさっぱりわ
There's
かんないけ
one
ど。
fact you're forgetting, though. If you didn't have that fire in you, we probably would have never met.
You're
なんか
absolutely
ないか
right.
な、こっち
Maybe
に。
the destination is all that matters in the end. But then why am I awake? Why am I seeing this fox go on her journey?
な
And
かっ
why
た。
can't I stop thinking about my
な
dad?
んもなかった。広いな。一緒の配信するよ。するよ。もちろん。間欠線があるみたいな感じ。あ。それは私でしょう。即答しました。広い。なんもないね。でも、ここ何だったんだろう。よいしょ。ホイップシップ。端っこすぎ。草も生えてない。こっち、怖そう。でも行ってみる。いけない。これ以上いけない。気のせい。いけない。進めない。なんもないしな。広いよー。そう、BGM がね。たまにこう、壮大な感じになるし。そう、前回のね、キツネさんのゲームもね、かなり癒し系だった音楽とかが。ピアノ演奏はね、どうしてもね、眠くなっちゃうな。間欠線がある。死んだ？なに？え？待って、何したは？これ、雷鳴ってんの今外で。ね。これ、はちょっと自由すぎる。ね、自由すぎる。 ねえねえねえ、広いし、どっち行ったらいいかわかんないし、とりあえずこれに辿っていくけどさ。何？あそこなんだった？何があったの？なお、誰か教えてください。何？広すぎる。広すぎるよー。ねえ、私方向音痴だからさ、もう戻れないよ。で、遭難しちゃう、遭難。私簡単に遭難するよ。ねえ。ってこと？何があれピコピコしてるのあれ。ちょっと気になる。行ってみよう。なんか、ピコピコしてるのがある。ピコピコ。
And it starts with an inciting event, and then there's rising action, and then there's a climax, and then there's falling action. And it's actually really difficult to make an interesting story where you only hear these two people talking, and it's spoken through a dream that's already happened. And the most of the action is about this animal that isn't directly related to this couple at all. So I don't know what I was thinking, but my hope was that it would create some interesting things and connections that I didn't see before. And that was kind of the whole exercise of making the first tree.
何これ？何これ？え、何？は？何？何？は？なんか取れたよ。全然わかんない。なんか取れました。イェイ。もう海外ゲームあるある、自由に進むタイプが多い。あ、そうなんだ。いや、自由すぎると迷子になっちゃうからさ。迷子よ、もう迷子よ。あ、なんか光ってる。光ってるとこ行こう。こっちも気になるけど。あそこ光ってる。ねえ、じゃあそこか。草が人に見える。何時から17のやります？ 23 時からやるよ。
On our property, there were old abandoned pieces of a shed and car long left unused. I used to ask him all the time who those people were that left all this junk. I'm sure he got so tired of hearing it that he made up some elaborate stories how a brown bear ate them and haunted the woods afterwards. What's funny is I think it made those people seem more real. Growing up thinking they were still hanging out like they couldn't say goodbye. I used to tell my friends how I could swear I saw spirits move near the water, and that always freaked them out. I guess it didn't bother me because the way I saw it, they were normal people with old cars and sheds, just trying to figure out how to survive and be happy in the middle of nowhere. It was a cool thought that they didn't want to leave, but you know, I was a weird kid.
Well, you had good company since those ghosts like living in a place where they were brutally devoured.
ノンワロ天然。あくび出ちゃった。 ち側もなんかありそうだね。な一個取り損ねた。うん。こっちもあるでしょ。これ今あったの。音楽は盛大だ。あっちがゴールっぽいけど、あそこにもなんかあるな。どっちから来たかわかんないからな。とりあえずこっち行くか。あれ、ないな。
I did want to do something a little different with this level. I wanted it to be more open world feel,
何を言っているの
and
か。
that there was something blocking your progress. So it did encourage people to look closely and see how to unlock this blocked way. And I do like just walking around this level and listening to the beautiful music by Josh Kramer. His work really sets the mood for the whole game.
こっち正解っぽい。あっちじゃなくて、どうしよう。してみるか。
My dad built a lot of stuff in his free time. If he wasn't watching fly fishing or reading Tom Clancy novels, he was carving something. He made tons of birdhouses. Not that he was into bird watching, but I think he really missed working
で
and
もあっち
adding
でっ
on to
かい
the
柱
home.
があるからこっち
If he
先
couldn't
か。
afford the time to build onto our own house, he would have to settle with watching birds move into their little homes. We kept an old mattress in the bed of that ugly yellow truck, so we would drive it deep into the woods and then watch the birds fly into their houses while the sun set. Usually it was accompanied by venison jerky or a cold Coke, but not a lot of talking, which is how we both liked it. Earlier I said I just love going through video games and exploring, like looking at every nook and cranny and just trying to find little
早くこっち
details.
なんか残ってる。
And I think that started because in middle school and high school,
こっ
I
ち
would
も
make
長い
mods for
な
my。favorite games, namely Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast,
真っ
and
黒
Far
な
Cry.
場所。
And I
すごい。
loved like this huge world of mod makers who would make these levels, and it'd be like the most random creative things, and I would just love exploring, usually multiplayer
上に
levels
もあ
by
りそうな
myself.
んだけど。
So even though I went to college for film, before that, like before high school, I was making video games and mods, and it was my favorite thing in the world. I made a ton of different levels. I
どん
made
どん遠
an
くなっ
abandoned
ていく
space
よ。
hotel with a dance floor and cafeteria. I made a haunted
Cafeteria?
campground with cabins and tents. I made this whole city with like the
Cafeteria.
first ever day-night cycle with running showers and stuff in the hotel
Cycle?
and the apartment buildings. And I just loved making those mods. And I think that carries over to my game, the First Tree, and also the one before that, Home is Where One Starts, which is it's exploration. You're just looking around and appreciating the details.
この上にあるから取りに行く。まあまあまあまあまあまあ。
We were happiest underneath the evergreens. We decided it was time to finally map out the hundreds of acres we lived on just to pass the time during the summer.
馬の写
He
真
was only free in the evenings, so I would spend the day wasting time on dial-up internet and
な
sketching.
んだろう
And then we would rush into the woods,
地図
pen and map in
She's
hand,
alone?
before evening fell. Sometimes the aurora borealis would cast a cold green glow on the mountainside, and we would finish our route underneath a twilight sky. Sometimes I was lonely during those summer days, but there was comfort in the routine.
A lot of teenagers aren't looking for the daily grind, though. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get out, to leave your childhood home. You wanted to progress, to make something of yourself.
ラジカセ
Yeah, you're right. That house.
なんかある
I'm sure it's the same as how I left it. But then why does it feel so different?
取ってくださいと言わん
I
ばか
doubt
りの
you're
も
the
のが
only adult to have looked back and asked that question.
ここはまたカラスがいけるのかな。おほなんだこれは。いけない。暗い。暗いの怖い。なんもない。なんもなかった。こっち来ちゃったけど、こっちの前になんかあったよな、きっと。来ちゃってるけど。何これ。この上のやつだ。これがなんかよくわかんない。なに？どうやって撮るの？さっきたまたま撮れた。なんで？どうなってるん？あと1個。いや。戻りたいんですが、道がわかりません。戻りたいのです。私は戻りたいのです。戻りたい。しかない。戻れるかな、これで。戻れそう。光あった。違った。光に見えて光じゃなかった。も これさ、私がやってて思うからさ、みんなもそうなんだろうけど、眠くなるね。これは眠くなるね。くそ。船だ。船です。救急箱。帽子。なんだ。あの光はあの光目指さなきゃいけないんじゃないの？でもさっきのところ、あれ？さっきの、先に行ってから、いやー、あっちもこっちもよ。あれ、あそこも通らんといかんし。あっちから取るか。あっちもこっちも、まったく。でもこっち遠くなっちゃうね、めちゃめちゃ。さっきのところとめっちゃ離れちゃう。なんか最初に来た道みたいになってる。まあ。お、なんかアスレチックがあるよ。なんだ。図面が落ちてます。まあ。あれ、この地形さっき見たよ。あれ、さっき来た？この奥だっけ？さっき来たとこ、この絵でこうやった。嘘！来たとこ回ってきた一周。街で一周回った？そうなの？あの光が上がってるとこ目指そう。まあ。でも帰ろうもん。でも今日はね、一日中眠い。起きてからもう眠かったしね。眠い。こっくりしそう。そこな？そう。あ、光の柱立ってる手前に。あくびばっかりしてる。
I don't think the First Tree could work at all without the music by Josh Kramer. And his
車
music, it's actually publicly available to license, and so it was affordable for me since this was a hobby project. And it's something I like to tell new indie developers all the time.
この喋ってる
You
のあん
can't
ま関
afford
係
that
ないんかな
composer. You can't afford a full-time programmer. You need to cut corners and finish your game. And the way to do that is to use these amazing publicly
関係ない
available
気がする
assets that anyone can purchase and license.
ミュージックって書いてあ
And
るし
so his music is it's incredible, and I
Music
actually
が
haven't
増
talked
え
to him
ま
that
す
much.
よ
I
みたい
just
な
emailed
感
him. But his music was nominated for most emotional music at the Emotional Game Awards in France. And
ゲーム
he's
言ってる
just
し
really
ゲームの
nice
世界
guy.
言ってる
And I
し
think there's so much
Game
amazing
World.
content out there that if you're thinking of making a game, like look around and see what you can make work on a tight budget, because it worked really well for the First Tree.
ザ・ファーストスレイって言ってるし
Even at my most distant, at the times when I detested him the most,
そうそう
he kept reaching out. For a year straight, he asked me every week when we were going camping. I thought he was just dense.
この
Eventually, to shut him up, I agreed.
この女
I carried out the worn lawn chairs from the garage and set up a cinder block campfire at the site we'd always used behind the house. We walked down the mountain path, talking in the warm sunshine we only got a couple months of the year. Those 3 obsidian rocks shimmered alongside the shore,
お
almost
ー
like sparklers pressed against a dark
な
window.
ん
I'll never forget that wet stone on my feet.
何が起こったの
Or
ボ
how
ーン
those
って開いた
massive
けども
mountains looked even bigger in the lake's
と
reflection.
りあえずこれ取るか
I felt small, but grateful. As the sun set, my dad found something I hadn't seen for a long time. The tree where I'd made my first carving when I was 6. I hadn't even carved it. My dad had helped me, but I still called it my tree. Something about seeing my name there made me open up, and we talked about everything that night in that old camouflage
う
tent.
ちにもないのも
I told him how much I love sketching and
隙
design,
間にもない
and
ですか
how it would be a dream to study
隙間にないですか
architecture in Seattle.
ないね
I told him how I didn't get along with my friends much anymore, but that I didn't mind being alone.
ライクこんばんは
He told me he was there for me, and he joked
なん
that
かいる
if all he had to do was
怖いん
write
です
my
け
name
ど
on a tree to finally get me to
お
talk,
父さん
he would have left me carved
お
logs
お
with
父さんが
novels
そ
on
こ
them
に
in
い
front
る
of my
の
room every morning.
怖いよ
I don't know why
Ne.
it took me that long to realize it, but it was
息子
then
が
I
い
knew
る
how much he had sacrificed for me.
息子がいるよ
The perpetrator stood nearby, unfazed, like nothing was wrong. My dad is dead, and he's never coming
息
back,
子がい
Rachel.
る亡くなっちゃっ
I
てた
can tell
の
you
あと
these
一匹
stories, but I can never reminisce with him again. He can never hold a grandchild that we'll probably never be able to have.
Hey,
I can never
お父さん？
talk to him again, and I'll never be able to
狼？
say I'm sorry for everything.
なんかいるんですけどこれは何これウルフザ・ウルフ
It was really important to me that the wolf in this story that takes the fox's
ウ
cubs,
ルフストーリ
that it
ー
wasn't explained at all. Like it's just this
Ay,狼.
entity that's in the
Kooku nai?
background. And of course it's supposed to represent something bigger than a wolf or even the fox. It's supposed to represent like the specter of death, and it comes when you least expect it. There's no justification. He's just there, always watching.
うんめっちゃ怖いんですけど大きいんですけど怖い狼でしょ怖いあぐるるるって言って逃げてったなに嘘でしょねえ嘘って言ってあ待ってよそう なんちゅうところを言ってるのこれ。よいしょ。ねえ。すごいね。これもう上に行けそうにないから、降りていくしかないよ、これ。あ、ちょっと待って、ここの隙間気になる。あったあったあった。あると思ったんだよね。隙間な。怖い。どこ行くん？こっちいいの？こっちないの？もう角度がおかしいことになる。こっちないの？気持ち悪い。なさそうね、もうね。あと一匹息子。いたいたいた、狼。違った。もう違うじゃん、狼じゃないじゃん。これ。なんか木じゃん。草じゃん。前みたいに毛がふさふさふさじゃないけどこれはこれで可愛いよね。普通のキツネさん。どうすんのこれ。上行けたりするの？上行けたりする？あ、一応行けるんだ。言っといた方がいいのかな？なんかあったりするかな？こんなに降りてきたのによ。上を目指してみるという。一回行かなくて。ね。光ってないし。どっちも捨てがたい。次のポイント発見。BGM が止んだ。
I need to go to bed. I just
もう寝な
can't
きゃ。
talk
この
about
こ
this
とを話す
anymore.
のもう辛いんだ。お休みって。
Good night.
軍内しちゃうの。これなんだろう。何を言われてるんだろう。手紙に見えたけど、なんだろうな。次のポイントがわかりませんな。あっちなのかな。こっちになんかないかな。ティンティンティンティンティン。ないか。ないな。 さそうだな。なさそうです。鳥はいるんだね。鳥とかフクロウとか。鳥類はいるんだね。人がいない。眠くないのこれ。もうゲーム。怖ー。変なとこから入ってきちゃったから、怖っ。次？なにもうわけわかんないのばっかり。ね、怖い。こんなの怖いよ。
Joseph, you can't go to sleep feeling like this.
ジョセフ。
I'm sorry for everything, and I know you need space, but
怖
I'm
いよ
here for you.
水の
You
上だ
don't
よ。
need to feel so lost.
なんだろうね。
Joseph, have I ever told you what my mother was like?
Hello, my name is Elise Whaley, and I was the voice actress for Rachel. I'm also David's
ちょっ
wife.
とレイチェルってボイス、
So that
声優
was
さんだっ
convenient
て。
for working together.
ちょ
I
っ
was
と、
actually the voice
これ
actress
も
for
し
his
かして
first
こ
game,
の
Home is Where One Starts.
ガイドみたいな
I
や
guess
つ
that I
は、
did a good enough job that David wanted me back.
なん
So
か、
I did the voice acting for this one
ゲ
as
ームと
well.
関係ないやつなんかな。
David
もし
definitely
かして。
coached me through it because I'm pretty inexperienced when it comes to that. Home is Where One Starts was my first time ever doing voice acting of any kind. And we watched a lot of trailers of movies we liked to get the voice right of female leads who were talking in the trailer and try to mimic that and bring that into the game. So that had the right kind of feel and the right kind of atmosphere for the voice. My character actually is the same character from Home is Where One Starts. If you've played
鶴が
that
いっ
game, you
ぱい折
probably
ってあ
connected
る
that。together.
何
And this is her probably about 15 years later, maybe 20 years later, in this game. I was happy to revisit the character of Rachel. We kind of leave her in an ambiguous spot in Home is Where One Starts. It definitely ends on a hopeful note, but there's not a lot of details. And in this game, you see that she's able to move on through a lot of her issues that she had from her abusive home and be able to start her own family and start a new cycle without that abuse, which I think is really inspiring.
You know what it's like not to have a mom at home. And you know how hard that made my childhood. What helped me was watching the birds in the morning
千羽
before the
鶴
school
なんだ、
bus
千
came.
羽鶴。
I thought that my mother was one
お
of those
母さん
birds.
が入院
And
してて
it
千
made
羽
me want to
鶴。
be free like her. My mom taught me how to fold origami cranes while she was in the hospital.
そういうこと？
So I told myself I would fold one every day until I could fly
お
myself.
酒の瓶。かなこれ。
I think we both have always loved animals. And for me, that love started with a dog. Sometimes this Rottweiler would come up to our property line and wait at the fence for me, but only once in a while. I was sure to check every day immediately after school, and it usually ended in disappointment. I would even steal money from my passed-out dad just so I could buy these off-brand dog biscuits. Even when she did stop by, she never went beyond the
テー
fence.
ブル。
Why was she so scared? I think my dad was the opposite of your dad in almost every way, except he was in the military as well. He coped with alcohol of every kind. The trailer started falling apart, he got angry, and I withdrew. More and more I became the weird, quiet kid who made lots of origami birds and carried dog biscuits around.
また？
I think we were pretty similar when
ま
it
た
came
こういう
to
系？
being weird kids. And that same sincerity in college was one of the reasons I was so drawn to you. Life got worse and worse. And at one point, I really didn't think I could survive another day with my soul still intact. I had no real friends, let alone neighbors, since we lived in the middle of nowhere. I should have talked to my teacher, but I was scared what he would do if he found out. As I waited for the school bus one morning, I walked around until I
これは
found
そうね、
something in
内
an
容は重い
abandoned
ね。
shed. Something I can't put into
だって
words.
これも最初にさ、
You have strength,
最初この子がこう
and you're not
出
as
来上がっ
alone
た
as
か
you
なと
think.
思ったら、これの息子がカラスにやられ
Just
てて、
waiting for life to happen. It's like having the home I always wanted is cursed out of my
まあ
reach.
子供を探してる感じなんだ
How
け
could
ど、
I do that when I couldn't even be a good
あと一
son?
匹いるはずなんだよね
I'm。sorry. I know what you're saying. I just don't know how things will work out. These quiet hours will turn
めっ
into
ちゃ光って
years.
るやん。
We'll wonder which roads passed us by.
Then we'll forge a new road together. Besides, I discovered for myself that one fateful morning where any hopeful road leads to.
早いな。
There may be thorns in this, but it always leads to the same thing.
And what's that?
Family.
家族。
I'm so glad that you're part of my family, Rachel.
And I'm glad you're part of mine. I summoned
ち
courage
いさ
I
んこん
didn't
ばん
know
は
I
だ
had.
よ。
And I broke into my dad's room
Oh.
and found the key to the shed where he had
So-
locked my bike.
これにな
I'll
っちゃっ
never
た。
forget that feeling. The wind rushing by my ears as the sun rose over fields of weed. I was flying for the first time. I biked as
言
far
う
as
て
my
こっ
legs
ちに
could
ま
take
だ
me
さ、いっ
until
ぱ
I
い
found a
さ
house that
光
felt
の柱
friendly,
ないっけ。
and that felt like home. Those strangers helped me in
不
so
思
many
議こ
ways.
こ。
And if it wasn't for
水
them,
の
I
上。
wouldn't have found my foster
こ
family.
れないの？
And if it wasn't for my
なかっ
parents,
た？なんか
I
光
wouldn't
の
have met
柱。
you.
あそこにあるだけ？うん？これだけ？A fox.
A question I get a lot is why a fox? And it ties into
No.
just how important family is for me. And Fox is actually a family name from my wife's side, from Elise. And she always heard about the legacy of the Fox family. And because of that, growing up, it was her favorite animal. She even made these 2 wooden foxes for our wedding cake toppers.
なんかいっ
So I
ぱいあ
thought
る
it would be
よ。
cool to have that animal in the game while these 2 people are having this conversation in the middle of the night.
うわ。なん。動物の鳴き声？怖いんですけど。っていうこと？なんもない。光の柱はどこに行った？ここ登れないね。登れる高さじゃない。なんだ。水があるこっちに。おっきいな。囲まれてるじゃん。空が変なことになってる。これ上がってみるか。空がないこと。向こう側が空になっちゃってる。 キラキラあった。あ、こっちが行く方向みたい。うんうんうんうんうん。とりあえず言えることは、ようわからん。ようわからんやつ。まあまあまあまあまあまあ。私的にもな、来週もやるかって言ったらやらないかな。これ来週やらないかな。やらないかな。内容は結構深いらしいから予備知識なしでやるのがだいぶ楽しいらしい。この探索系のさ、探索系の自由度が半端ないから、私が苦手とするシーンなんもない。ノベルゲームと思いながらやる方がそういうこと。まあこんな感じで次に行っちゃうよな。で、セーブがあるのかわかんない。また雨だ。もう一匹どこに行ったんよ。始まりの木の下で待っていることを知った。いるの始まりの木に。行かねばね。俺は
Items from my life still dotted the ground as she moved closer to her destination.
どんどん進んでいくけね。その感じがする。ちょっと待って。やめて。こっちに行きたかった。落とさんでほしい。これ4つ回った。やったね。下はどうなってる？怖っ。普通死んじゃうからな。うまい。な魂マジでまた
usually what catches people's attention of the first tree is the visuals, of course. And I was inspired by a lot of people making these levels. The second level is inspired by just these beautiful autumn photos of a real forest. And this level, the Jade Valley, is inspired by the artwork of Heather Penn, who did the Overland games. I just love those greens with a lot of gray in it. I love the strong vignettes in the corners of the frame. And of course, this environment pack was made by the very talented Swedish designer Mikael Gustafsson. And of course, his initial designs inspired me, and I was able to build off of that. And I'm really grateful that he allowed his environment pack to be made publicly available. At the end of high school, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Drive. I looked into the best architecture schools on the West Coast, then got a dose of reality when looking at other students' portfolios and the high cost of tuition. I still wanted to be something, to be the next Alvaro Siza, and to make those thousands of sketches worth something in my grand history. But now even an internship sounds impossible. Siza helped me understand how essential emotion is in architecture. And he also said light is the real composer of space. I like to think these glints of light, like not finding a job, or even a strange dream about a fox, are something I should be thankful for. Even if the illuminated space is something I'm less than comfortable with.
めっちゃ自然な音。良さそうだね。もう穴があるけど、あれ穴じゃないのかな。何なのかな。さっきいくつ目かの時穴みたいに入ったらそのままどっか行っちゃったからな。穴ではない。何ここ。怖い。どうなってるの。この光を目指そう。うん。音楽がない。テクスチャが同じ。テクスチャが同じだと。うんうん、確かにね、雨の音はいいよね。家っぽいのがある。キラキラあるからキラキラ撮っとこう。左にも家がある？ん？嘘でしょ。よいしょ。どっちだ？こっち？こっちで
By now, you've probably caught on to some of the themes I love to explore in these stories. And the big one is of this tree, the first tree on Earth. And a lot of people have asked me, what does that mean? Why a tree? And basically, it boils down to this delicate balance between nature and its relationship with life and death. And I love these stories where they put like these microscopic relationships, like something of like a father and a son, and juxtapose it next to this epic story of like the creation of the universe and the first tree on Earth, and how they can be equally as important, because in my mind, like, my family is as important as like the creation of the Earth. And it reminds me of like some of the stories I love, like The Road by Cormac McCarthy, or The Tree of Life by Terrence Malick. Basically, I wanted to make sure the player felt that there was a higher power than themselves, and that there was something watching over them as they went through this story.
いいな。ねえ、欲しいよね。閉めて字幕。いいだよ。埋もれてる。埋もれてます、おうち。なあ。うち、埋もれてました。なんということでしょう。あ、ここの先か。あきらくんこんばんはいらっしゃいだよー。あと8分、7分ぐらいで終わっちゃうけども。光って見えたけど、あ、合ってた。光ってたもんね。はい。コルクボードに貼ってあるけど、病院かなこれ、病院ですかここ。病院だったとこそこ光ってる。嘘でしょ？ここまで来たのに。ここまで来た時はそこ光ってるなんて。いやなんかね、ここに来るまでにね、いろんなものあったよ。警察署のパトカーと、あと取調室の机、モンタージュ写真が置いてあって、あとなんか、履歴書みたいな感じの顔写真付きのなんか、書類が置いてあったりとか、学校みたいなのがあったり。問題、なんとなくイメージするのは、もうここには、人類はいないんじゃないかって思ってる。人類。
My dad was super supportive with my college plans. To a point. Things were okay until this terrible accident happened. I guess a forklift flipped over due to a bad axle and it crushed one of the workers there. My dad didn't eat for days, even though he wasn't directly involved. It devastated him. Not only did it hurt the business, but it just freaked him out. He would talk in his sleep, muttering things about firing people and saying sorry. One fateful day he approached me, said that since my school search wasn't going well, I should finally be a man and take over the family business. He said one day he was going to die, and that all of his work, sacrifice, and even that man's life would be wasted in vain. I just lost it. Teenage me just exploded at that thought. I screwed up. I said things I shouldn't have. He was having a crisis. I pretty much spit in his face.
けそう。これ以上進めない。これ以上あんなこのお家に行けないよ。行けないよ。これ以上進めません。すいませんでした。はい。で、次どこ？以前のキツネ様かと思ったら違った。そう。ちょっとアニメーションっぽくなってる。次はなんとなくさ、あの木がさ、一番大きい木じゃない？あ、でもあそこ光ってる。ちょっと待って。あそこ、この先光ってない？ちょっと、この下も光ってた。この先目指す。光ってるように見えるから。キツネのお母さんだよ。この先、光ってるの見えた。そこ行ったら、上を目指そう。ファーストツリーを目指そう。ここがね、光ってるように見える。この章は終わらせたいな。なんかヒントっていうか、夢の花、これ、夢の中ってことなの？こっちなんか光ってなかったっけ？気のせいなの？なんもないの？なんもないんですか？なんもないみたい。なんもないな。なかったな。チーム。いや、遠くからの方がなんかいろいろ見えるかなと思って。キラキラあった。これがこっち側にもあったよね。そこ見えるよね。どっから行くのそこ。どっから行くのそこ。登れないんですけど。登れないよ。やんとまり。早く走りたい。ここ行けないかな？この上。ここから上に行けないね。いけないの。だからでもいけないの。乗れない。やっと。ほらな。はい。ファーストツリー行きたいな。行きたい。 対ファーストツリーでしょっていうのがあったからな。なんかここに来たら見えなくなっちゃったけど、遠くから見たらあったからな。これ下落ちちゃうやつじゃん。あ、いいのか。ここは違った。おー、ちょっと待って。よし。落ちないよね。ないよね。うちにいっぱいある。
Was that the last time you talked to him?
No, タブレッ
I
ト
called on holidays, and he would call on my birthday.
写真
I guess we acted like nothing ever happened, which was stupid. Didn't want to ask about his lumberyard, and I'm sure he didn't want to ask about my job search. I never went back and visited. I think the last conversation we had was about what movies we had seen and what exactly a best boy is in the credits. I thought he would be here so much longer.
あそこに大きな木があるの。光ってる。気のせいでした。あっ、最後の子がいた。なに
In the distance, the first tree illuminated the wasteland. She couldn't go home anymore. She did the only thing she was capable of. Moving forward. My dad died alone in the middle of the wilderness. I should have been talking to him more. I should have done a lot of things differently.
If the first tree on Earth brought life with it,
暗っ。
if it taught the birds to sing and fly and showed saplings how to grow,
暗いよ。
what could it do for us?
めっちゃしょんぼりしてるよ。しょんぼりしか歩けない。プンプンってできないんだ、今回。超しょんぼり。歩くの遅い。はい、ケイさんお疲れ様です。いらっしゃいだよ。しょんぼりよ、しょんぼり。
Obviously, this is a really emotional part, but I'm going to talk through it
ラ
anyway.
ストステップ
A lot of people correctly identify that Journey was like a huge inspiration for the first tree.
何
And this part, it is like a callback to that part where you're climbing up the mountain with your friend you don't know, and it just gets snowier and snowier, and you just keep going, and then eventually you collapse. And that part, that made a huge impact on me. And I don't even own a PlayStation 3 or 4. I rented a PlayStation from like a rent-a-center right after completing Home is Where One Starts, just because I'd heard so much about it. And everyone was right, it was a very impactful game. Then it
このア
definitely
カウントは
inspired the
OK だっ
first tree.
た。あれでしょアイコンでわかる。
There was a letter I received yesterday from a
えっ
name
と
I didn't
エニックさん
recognize, with a quote I can't stop thinking about.
もっとこうしてればよかったとか、後悔は大体なくなってからわかるからね。うん。
More and more, I'm realizing one important truth. Each of us have our own journey to the first tree.
待って待って待って待って待って待って待って、ジャン
Sometimes
プでき
I'm
な
not
いか
sure
ら。
I'm ready to take that first step.
You already have my love.
でしょんぼりよ、しょんぼり。ヨシキ。ヨシキだったん。そういえばヨシキ一番最初そのアイコンやったな。ねえ。一番最初。どうなるの？びっくりした。何？最初の件を目を覚まし、子供たちに最後にもう一度だけ伝えたいメッセージがあるかを狐に優しく尋ねる。狐はこう答える。何？正解あるのかな？愛してるわ。もう、なに消えた。よしきこれから仕
I guess
事。
your journey was over, but I
お
have
仕
no
事頑張
idea.
ってな。
It was only a dream,
来てくれ
a
てありがとう。
distraction
顔見せてく
from
れて。
tomorrow.
嬉しい。
I don't think dreams normally bring back to memory so many important feelings. Maybe it was just a dream, but it was also a gift.
Yeah, I suppose. But tomorrow we're getting on a plane to the last place on Earth I want to be.
またの。
The
ま
only
た遊び
person
に
that
来
would
て
have made
ね
the。trip worth it is gone.
You're going to see him and be with him one last time before you say goodbye. I have one last quote for you by Emerson, sealed in an imaginary letter from me to you. It is the secret of the world that all things subsist and do not die, but only retire a little from sight and afterward return again.
いってらっしゃい。気を
Go
つけ
to
て。
sleep, my love. We have a big day tomorrow, but I'll be there with you every step of the way.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. Good night, Rachel.
Good night, Joseph.
うん。終わり？どう？ローディング中。6ヶ月後。6ヶ月後 ?6 ヶ月。なに嘘でしょ？嘘でしょ？レイチェル？寝相すごいな。 嘘でしょ？どういう、キツネのゲームじゃな、ういやー、へいやー、わやわいやー。嘘でしょ？怖いよー。なんもできないし。ね、なんもできないし。ねえ。怖い音。なんもできないよ。ズームしかできないよ。ねえ。ねってば。こうなっていけないよ。ねえねえ。ねえ。これ、全然わかんない。誰かー終わるか。全然わかんないもん。いや、何をしたらいいのかわかんない。右クリックでズームができる。離したら、ズームが解かれる。左クリック何にもない。なんもないよ。なんもないよ。ありません。はい。じゃあ終わりますか。これ次回。そう、ホラーゲームばりに、怖いもんだって今。怖いもん。よいしょ。じゃあ終わりますかね。音怖い。音怖い。はい、でも終わります。この後、23時から17ライブです。多分ね、アイコン書くやつ、続きあると思いまーす。はい。もう目が痛い。これ多分次やんないんじゃないかな。ここって。では。来週何やるかちょっと考えとくわ。お疲れ様でした。ありがとう。おつも様でした。ありがとう。おつも様でした。ありがとうだよ。では、また会いましょう。あ、YouTube の方は次は土曜日の深夜だね。違う。土曜日の、違う。金曜日の、違う。今日金曜日でしょ？いつも土曜日の夜やってるよね。土曜日の夜やってるよね、マイクラ土曜日の夜です。では、つもふーそう、ありがとう。変わってないのにわからなくなった。ではマイクラでーす。